Hello and welcome back to another episode of WJ Live, powered by the Western Journal. I'm George Upper, Editor-in-Chief of the Western Journal, reminding you as always to click that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube, and then on the bell next to it so you never miss an episode of WJ Live, where you will always get the truth about the news of the day from people you can trust. If you're not watching us on YouTube, thank you for listening to us wherever you happen to be doing so. You can find us there, youtube.com/WJ Live, and subscribe there. But we encourage you to subscribe to us wherever you are watching or listening to us. We appreciate you being here with us today. On today's show, assignment editor Joey Chester has the latest revelations from Hunter Biden's laptop. You know, that story that no one, and I mean absolutely no one in the mainstream media wants to touch with a 10-foot pole? We have it for you. And editorial intern Grant Atkinson details another embarrassing display by U.S. athletes at the Olympics. But first, a story from the border that you may not have heard yet. We have all heard lots of border stories recently, I know. I know you've heard that the U.S. has seen nearly, actually over 500,000 illegal immigrants cross the border in the past 3 months alone. I'm sure you've heard that deportations are at historical lows under the Biden administration. I know you've heard about the taxpayer money spent through government programs on illegal aliens once they've entered the country. I guess we're saving all that money not enforcing our immigration laws, so we got to spend it somewhere. But a cost that's close to home for a lot of people is some money spent to repair the damage done to private property caused by illegal immigrants as they seek to enter the country undetected. And of course, there's the human cost, like children apparently abandoned by human smugglers as soon as they get them across the border and into the country, left to the mercies of whoever happens to come across them first, such as in this video featured by the Texas Farm Bureau from Kate Hobbs. This is our first video on this topic.
No mother, no mother, no father, no nothing. This is one of our workers' wives right here taking care of this tiny one. No one with these children dumped out on the side of the river here on our farm. This is where these children were brought across and dumped here alone. 5 little girls. This is where they slept last night. This is where my husband found them this morning when he was checking on the farm. He thought one of them was dead. There's nobody here yet but us. These are some of our helpers that... Look at this. Look at this.
So first of all, thank you, Kate Hobbs, for taking care of these small children, 4 or 5 small children abandoned. Obviously we don't know the circumstances. My surmise would be that they were smuggled across the border by somebody paid probably by their parents to do so, but then just left there to whoever might come across them first, which is just as sad a story as you're likely to see today.
I think it's interesting because it kind of flies in the face of this narrative during the Trump administration that everyone is just arriving at the border as a nice, happy family, and then he's just ripping them apart.
Yeah, right.
And he's just throwing them in cages. Like, no, it turns out that children are being smuggled. Their parents were never here, and that is a big problem that's happening, and it's continuing to happen under the Biden administration. So it's not like everything was just amazing, and then Trump decided to start separating families, and then that's why I have a problem like that.
No, when you have 500,000 people coming across per quarter, you're going to get some horror stories. Right. And this is one of them. Our prayers go out to these children who are, I can't blame them for anything.
No.
They are victims of this process just as much as anybody else is. But ranchers near the border are seeing economic costs as well as the human costs as damage is done to their property that insurance doesn't always cover. We have another video here, this one from a man named Brian King, explaining why he's going to have to come up with something in the neighborhood of $1,500 to repair fencing on his property.
Hi, I'm Brian King. I'm a farmer in Dimmitt County. We went from having, in the last 6 years, 2 incidents of people running through our fences and illegal aliens crossing our place to now it being a weekly occurrence. This one is the most recent time. They came in off the highway back there, ran through this fence and went through up along the highway, created this is going to cost us about $1,500 between the 2 fences to replace this. And like I said, it's been a weekly occurrence now for the last 4 months.
So the Farm Bureau that has those videos and others, if you Google them, you can go see lots of stories from farmers on the border, agricultural workers on the border encountering this kind of stuff. They're an insurance and lobbying group, as I'm sure many of you know. Heartland Americans probably pretty familiar with the Farm Bureau. One of their chief concerns has to do with protection of private property rights for farmers and agricultural workers. And for that reason, the American Farm Bureau Federation sent a letter on June 3rd, a month and a half ago, to the Secretaries of Agriculture, Interior, and Homeland Security, demanding financial assistance for farmers who are being impacted this way, and they might get that, and also demanding action to, quote, enforce legal immigration to secure U.S. borders. They will not get that. Since that letter, according to a story written by Jacob Gurney of the Western Journal and published just this morning, there was some sort of virtual meeting held because of the letter in which they were promised a response from the Biden administration. Of that promise, Texas Farm Bureau President Russell Baining said, quote, "I haven't seen that yet." I hope you're not holding your breath, Mr. Baining. So, guys, you tell me, is he going to see any action at all from the Biden administration? Joey, what do you think?
No way. I mean, for action to occur, the Biden administration would have to admit that they've done something wrong, that their immigration policies have been poor, that they have caused real, tangible damage to Americans. There's no way that they would ever admit that, because then they'd actually have to do something. They, like you said, would have to enforce immigration laws, which they have clearly demonstrated they don't want to do. So I don't think we'll see any action. I think we will just see silence from the Biden admin in response to this. Just continued silence. It's been a month and a half. Haven't heard anything. I do not have high hopes that they will anytime soon.
Grant, you agree with that?
Yeah, I pretty much am on the same track as Joey. I think that the fact that we haven't heard anything for a month and a half is unfortunately not all that surprising to me, because I've yet to see the Biden administration really admit any faults, but especially when it comes to this immigration policy, they have been just so hesitant to admit that they've done anything wrong. And I don't see a way that they could address this situation without admitting that they are partly at fault for this, and that they did something that either directly or indirectly kind of caused these damages that these farmers are experiencing, and they're not going to do that. So I don't see a way that the Biden administration would be able to address this situation without admitting fault. So instead, they'll probably just ignore it.
So who should pay for this? Because even if Joe Biden, for some reason, ponies up here, right?
Sure.
Which I think we all disagree he's going to do. But let's say he does. Isn't that just my money? Isn't that just taxpayer money? So, is that fair? What would be fair? What should be done here?
I think we should make Mexico pay for it, like Trump. Trump would probably approve of that, that plan.
Yeah, with that, he would approve of the plan. That's right.
I think there's an element of responsibility here and taking ownership for your actions. George, you bring up a good point that yes, if the government pays for it, it's technically it's not technically, it is our money. It is those farmers and ranchers' money. But if I drove through your front yard and knocked down your mailbox, you'd probably expect me to pay for it, right? I broke it. I'm supposed to fix it. I'm supposed to pay for it. And so I think that Joe Biden does have a responsibility to pay these farmers for the damage that he has caused. The one guy from the video, the rancher, the farmer, said that in the last 6 years, so before this, no one had driven through his fence except for maybe 2 times in 6 years.
Right, and now it's weekly.
And now it's weekly. that is Joe Biden's fault. Who's supposed to reimburse this guy? I mean, farmers and ranchers aren't a bunch of rich guys, just making bank off of farming and ranching. No, these are guys that struggle for what they have, and they have to endure these damages caused by the Biden administration. Who should pay for that? Biden probably should. Even if it's, I mean, I guess it's kind of nice. It's almost like getting some of your tax dollars back, but it still feels like a slap in the face, though.
If only he'd gone into private practice instead of entering the public sector again.
Yes.
Maybe he'd actually have more money to spend on this kind of stuff, Joey.
Yeah, but I do think that America is all about taking responsibility for your actions, owning up. That's what Joe Biden needs to do here.
All right. Yeah. Preferably with his own money. That's
It'd
the
be
way I'd
great
like
with
to
his
see
own
it.
money.
Yeah, why
That's the
doesn't
way
he
I'd like
take
to
his
see
own
that.
salary and then he can put it towards giving money to the people that he's harmed?
That's a great point. If he was donating his salary like Trump did,
like our previous
yes,
president. Yeah.
he could just give that salary to the farmers and ranchers who are spending thousands of dollars because of him.
Yeah, agreed. Well, we're no strangers to criticizing Joe Biden in this on this program, and today is going to be no exception, I think.
No, Biden seems to always find himself weekly on this show in some sort of predicament. He's done something, or there's been some sort of email surfaced or something from Biden's past, and this is no exception. History has a funny way of repeating itself, doesn't it? It always feels like the things that happened previously in history happen over and over again. We all remember the massive Hillary Clinton email scandal of using a private email server when she was Secretary of State. She wiped those emails, and what we're going to talk about today isn't quite as significant as wiping the emails, but it does revolve around someone using a private email who was in the Obama administration at the same time, and that person is Joe Biden. We have emails provided to us from Just the News, who has a copy of Hunter Biden's laptop that just keeps on giving every week.
Yeah.
And on this laptop, there are emails from Joe Biden using a private email while he was vice president. And you have to remember, during this time, this was Hunter Biden's, he's flying overseas, he's dealing with the Ukraine, he's flying on jets with Joe Biden to China. I mean, this is at the height of Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings. Well, Joe Biden was sending Hunter Biden government intelligence, State Department intelligence from his private email address. What? I mean, how do you get away with that? Imagine if Trump was sending State Department intelligence to Donald Trump Jr. while he was president. It would be the biggest story. You all know that private emails are super or way easier to hack than a government encrypted email.
Sure.
Imagine if a Chinese hacker or a Russian hacker, I mean, we're talking so much about hacking right now with pipelines. How couldn't a Russian or Chinese hacker got into Joe Biden's private email?
As far as we know,
as far as we know,
we didn't.
how do we know it didn't happen? It got into his email and accessed that intelligence that he sent to his son. And what do we know that Hunter Biden did with that intelligence? We don't know. I mean, did it help his foreign business dealings? Who knows? But it's pretty shocking that Joe Biden got away with this. It never came to the media's attention. Apparently, it was well known in the administration that Joe Biden was using his private email to send family members all kinds of information. In fact, people in the administration would email Joe information to then forward on to his family members. It's so crazy to me. Do you guys see some major issues here with this? Do you think it's a potential intelligence breach?
So as a former military intelligence guy, I will tell you that one of the first things that jumps out at me is sources and means. So, this depends on what kind of intel it was, of course, and where we got it. But one of the most important things to keep safe, one of the reasons why classified information is often classified, is to protect the identities or the means by which we obtained that information. So if we have, use kind of a spy novel idea, but if we have a phone that's bugged in the Russian embassy and we learn something because of a conversation that we hear, then we don't necessarily want the Russians to know we have that information, because they could say, well, there's only one way they could know that. That phone must be bugged, right? That kind of thing. And now that source of information is useless to us.
Right.
So that's the first thing that comes to mind, is it degrades the ability of the United States government to get intel. But more importantly, in some cases, that intel comes from people who have given us that information specifically. And if their governments knew that, it would put those people in danger. And so that's why one of the big reasons why intelligence information is classified. It's to protect people's lives. And so when Joe Biden takes that classified information, because he doesn't know why it's classified, he doesn't know if it's a sources or means issue, he doesn't know what the issue is. Most end users of intelligence don't know that. So he is just... for the sake of profit for his family members, he is endangering, or at least potentially endangering, people's lives. And that's just, it's impeachable is what it is.
Right.
That's impeachable.
Yeah, I mean, the legality of this seems super sketchy. I mean, sending intelligence information to a family member on a private email, I mean, that just sounds like one of the worst things you could do
If
as
it's
Vice President of the
classified,
United
that
States.
is illegal.
Yeah.
And the part to me that's so surprising is that no one knew about it. Like you're talking about how like this is well known in the administration. They're sending information to Biden for him to forward on to other people, and we haven't heard a peep about it. This is the first time that we're ever hearing about it. It's incredible to me that I understand that the establishment media is basically just a propaganda arm for the left at this point, but a story like this not getting out is even beyond what I would think of them. It's below even them, and that's pretty low.
Yeah, so this happened in 2014, so 7 years ago, and we're just now hearing about it. And the only reason we're hearing about it is because Hunter Biden accidentally left his laptop at a repair shop. We would never know this had that not happened. And that's with administration officials knowing. Who knows? President Obama probably knew it was occurring, and this would have never gotten out. A Obama admin official in this article states that he was terrified of admitting to just the news that this was occurring because he's afraid he's going to get in trouble. Someone's going to come after him for admitting this.
Well, of course they are.
This is a massive, massive cover-up that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden got away with. Again, imagine if we knew that Mike Pence, he's Trump's VP, was sending we don't know if it's classified, but just intelligence to his family members. Mike Pence, the Democrats would go after him, investigate him, try to remove him from office. They impeached Trump 2 times for terrible. Their reasons for impeaching him were terrible. What Joe Biden did is way more of an impeachable offense than anything Donald Trump ever did.
If this was classified information, then this was then it's a crime. It is illegal. It's a crime. It's absolutely prosecutable. No question.
Something that's interesting, there's a Presidential Records Act, and that will be able to be accessed. Tom Fitton's going to try to access it, I think, in a couple years from now. So we should actually be able to obtain copies of these emails and what all was sent, and we should know if things were classified at that point. But that's still 2 years down the road. And yeah, it's just crazy. Then the other thing is another email scandal. Apparently, Hunter Biden was setting up a lucrative, swampy lobbying firm for him to head up with Beau. This is before Beau died. And Joe Biden was slated to join this lobbying firm once he was no longer vice president. Wow. Joe Biden has repeatedly...
Joe Biden being an employee of Hunter Biden.
Yes.
May be the only idea worse that I can think of than Hunter Biden being an employee of Joe Biden. I cannot imagine a worse scenario.
Yeah.
Anybody working for Hunter Biden, that's just mind-boggling.
Yes, it is. Yeah, working for Joe Biden, work for Hunter Biden is a
I'm a former vice
idea.
president of the United States, and I work for this crack addict. Okay.
Yes, like I said, it doesn't get any more swampy than this.
Ridiculous.
And so he was set to leave the vice president's his job and joined this lobbying firm. Then Bo died, and the plans fizzled out.
Sorry,
Bo dying
meth
is
addict.
sad.
I'm sorry, I said
Yeah.
crack addict.
Well,
I apologize
yeah.
to crack addicts everywhere.
That's offensive.
But
That's
I
different.
apologize for that.
It raises questions. Joe Biden has repeatedly, and now I can safely say, lied to the American people and said he knew nothing about his son's business dealings. We have emails that Hunter Biden was setting up a business with his dad as an employee. And we have pictures of Joe Biden with Mexican billionaires in the vice president's office that were Hunter's friends and business associates. Joe Biden has lied to the American people over and over again. So what do we do about this? How can Republicans actually wield some power here and do something about Joe Biden? We have tangible evidence of really sketchy, shady, swampy things happening that Democrats would have gone after Trump for, impeached him again for. What do Republicans do to go after Biden now?
Yeah, probably nothing. In this highly partisan environment, with minorities in the House and Senate, I don't think there's anything Republicans can reasonably do. I think the best thing that you can do, that grassroots Republicans can do, or make sure we get out and vote in 2022, turn the House and Senate over to the Republicans and give them the power to investigate this kind of stuff. But until that happens, as frustrating as it is, we're not going to see any action on that from this Congress. Not unless Biden does something so stupid that he offends Democratic members of Congress. That's the only way that
It's not unlikely.
I don't know what that would take, but it seems incredibly unlikely. Like he would have to murder someone in broad daylight. Like I don't
know what that. I throw that out there as a technical possibility, but in realistic terms, I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah. Well, we know Joe Biden is ruining America on a day-to-day basis. He is. I don't think Joe Biden is proud of America. There are some other people who are not proud of America and dislike America. And Grant, let's hear about that.
Yes, some of the people who I would say are probably the least proud of America would be those very people who are representing America at the Olympic Games on an international stage. So that's great that we're able to put them out there, really show our best for our country there. Yeah, it's really awesome. But in particular, the U.S. women's national team has come under fire, which, first of all, I think women's national team is pretty offensive. There might be like a man who identifies as a woman on there or something like that. So I don't.
Yeah, it feels very gender
that's allowed.
I don't think we should be allowed to call it that.
Somebody's getting triggered.
Yeah,
sure.
but anyway, it's called the U.S. women's national team, and so they have come into the spotlight for their protests that they've been doing over the past. I mean, really since their run in the last World Cup, even before then, but really in the last year or so of all these BLM protests, they've really kind of ramped it up a little bit. And so they had their first game of the Olympics early in the morning hours of this morning because it's over in Tokyo, so the time change. And so before the game, there's a picture of the players kneeling. Yes, there it is. The United States players and the Swedish players who they're playing, they're kneeling. It wasn't during the national anthem as they have done before. There was speculation that they weren't allowed to kneel during the national anthem because the Olympics actually has rules to where if you're representing your country, that maybe you should respect the country that you're representing.
Yeah, if there's anybody who can identify with the black experience in America, it's a Swedish woman.
Yeah,
right.
I can think of no one who could possibly identify and know what it's like to be an oppressed minority in the United States more than a privileged Swedish female soccer player.
Right,
Grant.
exactly. And so all four people that were watching the game got to see that expression of solidarity. So that was great.
Racism is solved now. Didn't you hear?
Yeah, right.
It
Now
no
that
longer
the kneeling
exists.
has happened,
Yeah.
we're done. It's all mission accomplished. Nice work, ladies.
Well, that's great that they accomplished that mission. Unfortunately, the mission that they didn't accomplish was winning the game. They were actually pretty well demolished by Sweden. They lost 3-0. They were riding a 44-match unbeaten streak, and it came to a screeching halt here today. We have just a clip of kind of a summation of how the game went. Here we go. Yep, that was about it.
Wow.
So that's pretty much, I think, how the game went from what I've read about. I didn't watch it because I would rather sleep than watch that.
I'd rather poke my own eyes out with a spoon
Yes.
than watch that
From
game.
from what I understand, they were pretty well
Dull
dominated.
spoon.
They
Dull,
lost.
dirty, infected spoon. Oh my gosh.
So fortunately, we didn't have to watch that. And so we put out an article this morning at the Western Journal about how the women's national team lost after they started the game by trying to stage a protest of kneeling, and then they went out and they laid an egg in the game and they played terrible. And it did really well on our website, and some other conservative websites put this same kind of story out and they had similar success. So it started trending on Twitter. And so the comments that I started seeing on Twitter as I'm reading about this is basically the Western Journal, other conservative news sites, we're bad people because we are celebrating the fact that our country's team lost, and so therefore that makes us un-American. What do you guys think about that?
I am completely apathetic as to the win or loss in this situation. So I'm not celebrating any. If Sweden had won, I mean, if the U.S. had won, rather, if Sweden had lost, I wouldn't be celebrating that either. I just couldn't care less. I don't much care about the Olympics. I really don't care about soccer in the Olympics. And regardless of whether it's a men's team or a women's team, I don't care. So I'm not celebrating anything. I think the point is that the article was making, and that we would make, the conservatives in general would make, or not even conservatives, just patriots.
Anyone who watches sports and also likes America.
Yeah, I think what we'd say is, why don't you focus on the game? Why don't you focus on winning the game? The wokeness isn't helping you any. It just kind of, the only credibility you have, the only stage you have, the only reason you have spotlight at all is because of your athleticism. And when you lose the game, you lose all of the rest of that. So why don't you just focus on winning the game? That's what you get paid to do. And I would imagine that women's professional Olympic soccer players aren't making bank. Okay, I get it.
Well, that's a whole nother issue that they also have a problem with.
I'm
so I'm
sure
sure
no
you
one
can read about
watches.
I'm
that
sure they
one.
have a litany of problems that they would love to discuss with us. But just play the game. Just play the game. The same thing I would say to Matt Damon. Do the acting. If you're a dancer, dance. If you're an actor, act. If you are a garbage collector, collect the garbage. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. But beyond nobody cares, it's ineffective. It's a waste of time. So spend your time on something that makes a difference. But even if it's stuff I disagree with, if you're going to go fight social causes that I'm on the other side of, that's great. But why don't you do it in a way that's effective so that we aren't sitting here sort of kind of laughing at you, but not even being able to bring up a real laugh because it's just sort of pathetic. Do something that matters with your life. That would be my advice.
I'm one of those people that was honestly quite happy that they lost.
Well, yeah, that was kind of my question is, to me, I'm apathetic, but is it wrong if you are actively rooting for them to lose?
No.
Is that a problem to you?
No, it's not, because I think it's impossible to be un-American towards people who are un-American. They don't like America. They're not proud to represent America. So we don't owe them anything. We don't owe them any duty to be proud of them. So people
They also weren't playing the North Koreans.
Right.
They weren't playing the Iranians. They were playing Sweden.
Yeah, Sweden, they're fine.
So Sweden's great. I love Swedish fish. Big fan. IKEA. We love Sweden. So
They're giving us some great things.
if you go and disrespect America on the
Swedish meatballs?
world stage,
sorry, Joe.
you're fine. If you disrespect America on the world stage, no, I'm not going to root for you. I'm going to actively root that you lose, because if you are un-American but got the privilege to represent America, you deserve to lose. You deserve to lose. You shouldn't be playing on the team because the country that has given you the privilege to be on that team, you disrespect. You shouldn't even be there. Just don't go. Don't play then. So yeah, if they keep doing, I hope they lose.
Yeah,
and it has nothing to do with America,
Right.
because they don't like America. They don't like what the country stands for. They disrespect America on the world stage. So I will actively hope that they don't win.
Yeah, to me, it's really quite a spin zone that the left is trying to put on this, that we are anti-American.
They're the
because we're
ones that
rooting
are
for them to lose,
anti-American.
after they literally go on an international stage
Yes.
and talk about how much they hate America.
Exactly.
It's clearly just like trying to spin it back on someone else, and it's not. I don't know. I don't put much credibility into those criticisms. I wouldn't say.
No, I think we are so proud to be Americans, conservatives are, that it genuinely bothers us, at least me, when you see these athletes who have the privilege of representing America on the world stage disrespecting America. There is something really bothersome about that those are the types of people given that privilege. Mm-hmm. It's wrong.
Logan, do you have that picture of Megan Rapino handy that you could put up really quickly? It may have been on that sort of menu slide. Yeah, that one. Can you throw that up? All right. Megan Rapino, dye your hair red, white, and blue. And I will root for you. I will actually watch an Olympic soccer game.
I would too.
I won't be happy.
I would too.
I won't enjoy it, but I'll watch it and I'll root for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Purple hair, whose colors are those? You're matching your jersey? I mean, come on.
Red, white, and blue hair, and we'll
Thank you,
support
Logan.
them. That's
Well
what it'll
done.
take.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't kneel. And
All right.
Yeah.
Friends, look, the outrage you feel when you see American athletes like Megan Rapino kneeling in disrespect of their own nation and its citizens like you and me, that's the opposite of what the establishment elites feel when they see it happen. They like it. They encourage it. They literally pay for it. They want more of it. In fact, they'll support whatever, and I mean that pretty much literally, whatever they have to support in order to keep their hands on their money and their power. That means they want your money because they want more of it, and you have some that they don't have yet. So they want your money. And it means they want your freedom because that's how they measure their own power, their ability to restrict what you can and cannot do. The Western Journal is on the front lines of that battle, the war for American freedom, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, your right to bear arms, you name a freedom, and I'll show you how the Western Journal is working to shed light on the efforts of the establishment elites to take that freedom away from you. And you can support us directly for literally pennies a day by going to westernjournal.com/join and becoming a member. Now notice, yes, I am asking you for money. No question. I want you to subscribe to us and support us. But I'm asking. I'm not taking. I'm not ordering. I'm not commanding. There is no gun in my hand. I'm asking for your support because we need your support. And for a limited time, we'll give you 2 months free. When you pay for 10 months of an annual membership, we'll give you the other 2 months free. That's like a 17%, almost 17% discount. And you will get exclusive content that isn't available anywhere else. But more importantly, you will have the satisfaction of knowing that you're supporting us, making a difference at the Western Journal and on WJ Live on the very front lines of this war against fake news, establishment media bias, and the elites who want nothing but what you have. They want what you have. One last programming note. I mentioned this briefly last week, but I sat down recently with General Michael Flynn on a wide-ranging discussion of the situation America now faces and what everyday heartland Americans like you and me can do about that, what we can do to come to the rescue of our country. I don't think I'm putting that too dramatically. That interview will be available soon on The Uppercut. The Uppercut is a brand new podcast coming out within the next week or two, hosted by yours truly. So keep an eye out for more information about that. We're gonna split that interview into a couple of episodes and put it all out there online for you to listen to very soon. So keep your eyes and ears open. We'll get you more information as soon as we have it, pretty much. And with that, we will bid you Farewell until the next episode of WJ Live, powered by the Western Journal. We will bring you truth as best we can every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Thank you for being here today, and we'll see you again next time on WJ Live. Stay safe.
Hey guys, huge story. We need a fresh card. Let's red label it. Roll as fast as we can.
All right, on it. Sounds good. All right, guys, we got a red label breaking story. Can we get a picture for that? And can we try to get that out in the next 20 minutes? I want eyes on it as soon as possible.
On it, Joe. 2 more minutes and we'll be live.
Sam, we're going to need a slot for that story, so figure out what you want to bump. Ashley, we're going to want to translate it into Spanish yesterday.
Sí, señor. We can slide it in at 2:30. It should be going out here in about 10 minutes.